Hey, Melissa Wick here. Today we're going to talk about having super big energy beliefs and getting your business funded. Getting funding means you need to believe like super hard in yourself and your ability to be successful, right? So how do you do that? And I'll tell you, I'm not going to make any bones about it, right? The worst thing you can be seeking funding is a woman, right? Like we all know, like the venture capital bros, the cis bros get the funding, right? Like if you're a woman and you're black, that's even worse. If you're a woman and you're fat, that's even worse. If you're a woman and you're LGBTQ plus, that's like way worse, right? So I mean, even like out of LGBTQ plus people who got funded, like I was like 37% of them like stayed in the closet. They did not even like disclose their sexual identities. So like big problems in the world regarding that stuff. However, it's not a reason to not try, right? So, I mean, my job is to help you sort of believe in your ability, even in the face of like patriarchy and heteronormative bullshit standards that like get in the way and cause all kinds of problems. So we're going to talk today about how you cultivate your beliefs in yourself so that you can get funding. And then we're going to talk quickly about what kinds of funding are available to you. Okay, so knowing all that, heteronormative standards, the patriarchy, how do you have the courage to like decide to believe in yourself with intention, even in the face of all those things? I'm going to tell you work on your thoughts, right? You create and cultivate and you work on believing thoughts that are going to support you. You choose not to believe thoughts despite whether or not they're true or not, that are not serving you, right? So that's what we work on in my coaching program. And another thing is like, you have to learn how not to conform, even though it's like so much easier to just try to conform to a society that doesn't fully support who you are as a person. The most important thing is like doing that is never going to get you where you want to go because you're not being who you are and you're not going to be able to create what you want to create from that place. So super painful lesson that I had to learn myself, but well worth it once you get there. Okay. One way of funding that a lot of people don't think about that I think is actually really helpful to a kind of a certain number of businesses is something called convertible debt, right? So you can do a convertible debt deal. It's not like venture capital exactly, because what you're doing is you're taking money and you're giving people a convertible note in exchange, right? So your company is taking on debt, which is scary, but you're hopefully taking on debt from people who are going to convert that debt into interest in your company. So if it all goes well, that's what happens. And that's a beautiful thing. So convertible debt is basically a loan, and it's a loan that converts into equity later down the road, equity in your company, right? So when you enter into these agreements, you want to make sure you know who you're kind of getting into bed with, because they could potentially be like somebody that is ownership in your company, which is cool on one hand, as long as they're like somebody you want hanging around for the duration of your company. And that debt converts with a couple of things. Like, so it converts like usually whenever the person who's holding the debt says, I want to convert it, or it converts when you raise another round of funding. And one thing I'm going to say is that there's something called a discount with that convertible note. A discount means that those first investors, your like ride or die investors, those guys get in usually at like they get it like a discount, right? So the new investors who waited to like see if you could actually do what you said you were going to do, they pay a certain price, and your ride or die, your OG investors, they get in at a 20% discount generally, which is fair and hopefully something that you would want to do anyway for the people that were kind of like, hey, we're on your team, we're going to support you in the early days when things weren't so certain, right? Another way to entice early investor is something called a valuation cap. The price can't go so high that it doesn't make their investment worthwhile for them. Okay, so my name is Melissa Wick, and I love talking to my clients about funding and how they can raise funds in their business. Not everybody is right for venture capital, but there are other options. So I own Wick Law Offices, a small business law firm here in Columbus, Ohio. I'd love for you to reach out and ask me any questions you have about funding. Thanks for watching.